As we've been discussing so far, and not for the first time tonight, Suella Braverman has been sacked, and my next guest has argued that it simply wasn't a case of her being sacked by the PM, but rather her being pushed out by the pressure being heaped on the Prime Minister. There's no doubt the former PM had many foes. There's also now no denying that she spoke for a broad part of the electorate, and particularly GBNews viewers, especially for the Tory base. We were really concerned about issues like migration and crime. So, Suella Braverman's departure is significant for the direction of the Tory party, but how will it fare with the electorate? I'm joined now by the Pollster and Professor of Politics at Kent University, my old friend Matthew Goodwin.
Hi, Chris.
Matthew, how do you... Nigel Farage, who is normally in this show, he's had his phone removed from him. He has no idea what's happening. It's almost hilarious because his old sparring partner, David Cameron, the man who fought over Brexit in 2016, is now back in post. What on earth would Farage be making of this? And of course he has no idea until he gets out of the jungle.
Well, I thought about that today. When he comes out, he's going to find David Cameron back in government, and it's going to feel as though he's gone in a time machine and we're back in 2016.
He'll be looking at his watch.
But there's a serious point here, Chris. What the Conservative Party has done today is both remarkable and unsurprising. And the reason I say that is it's remarkable because they've taken a punt on a man who's already been rejected by voters at the 2016 referendum. The David Cameron brand of conservatism...
But never lost an election. Don't forget that.
Well, he lost a big referendum, Chris.
But not an election.
The David Cameron brand of conservatism was rejected by voters at the Brexit referendum, OK? Now, I say unsurprising because I think consistently, as I've argued, and, you know, people out there know on social media and otherwise, that from 2016, the Conservative Party has never leaned in to the realignment, the unique opportunity it had to change itself. So Suella goes, she's very popular with 2019 Conservatives, and who comes in? David Cameron, somebody who really lost touch with where Conservatives are.
The problem is they've always viewed, for me as an observer, and I've been with you on those trips with Farage, watching
remember them well.
Watching him address those halls in Grimsby and places where Brexit really mattered. For me, it's an opportunity to be grasped. That's what Farage got hold of, and the Brexiteers, not a problem to be solved. And that's where the Cameroonites came in. Well,
here's the thing, right? There has never been more space in British politics for a new anti-establishment party as there is today.
Reform UK exists.
There's never been as much space as there is today. And I say that not just because of immigration being 600,000, the next figure's coming out next week. I don't say that just because of the clearly, visible problems over multiculturalism with the Hamas sympathisers and the protests after Israel. I don't say it because of the broken political economy and all of those things. I say it because clearly the people in Westminster really do not understand where the rest of the country are, Chris.
But the polls aren't saying that. Reform is still trending at 7 points, 9 points. Richard Tice earlier will eat his hat if he does a deal at the next election with drops candidates against Tory MPs. It's not cutting through. You are saying that, but where's the proof?
Well, I think firstly, when it comes to reform, I think they're struggling with two things. One is visibility, and the other is, having that big, present, charismatic figure like Nigel Farage. Reform to me today reminds me of where UKIP were when we started writing about them in 2012, 2013. Right. They were on 5%, then they were on 7%, then they were on 9%, then they were on 11%, 12%, 13%, and so on. So I think they're going to become a problem for Rishi Sunak. There's another problem, though, Chris, which is apathy. A lot of Conservatives at home, I bet a lot of people watching this show are thinking, come the next election, I probably won't vote at all. And that is going to be as big a challenge to Rishi Sunak as reform.
And that was a problem going back through the by-elections this year. So what has that reshuffle done today to make those voters vote Conservative? Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing at all. The only Conservative who was willing to challenge the consensus on immigration and multiculturalism, who was pro-Brexit, all of those things, she's gone. Now, Chris, you might say to me, look, Suella wasn't a competent minister, or, she said things that a Home Secretary shouldn't say, whatever. But the point is, the Conservative Party itself now doesn't seem to have any frontline politicians who can articulate and speak for the people who took a punt on the party in 2019. And that is why I'm predicting a heavy election defeat for the Conservatives.
Even worse now, post this reshuffle.
Oh, much worse, much worse.
You've written a book, haven't you, about the elite. Are the elite happy with David Cameron back in government?
Of course they are. Of course they are. I mean, look, what makes me nervous about British politics, and you'll have thoughts on this, what worries me, whether you're on the left, whether you're on the right, whether you're in the centre, here's what worries me. all of the people who have challenged the elite consensus in recent years are gone. Boris Johnson, gone. Liz Truss, gone. Suella Braverman, gone.
Jeremy Corbyn, gone.
Jeremy Corbyn,
By the
gone.
way.
So what worries me is we have a consensus in politics that I think represents 20% of the country maximum. But everybody who's challenged that by supporting Brexit, by criticising immigration, by saying we should have a different economy, has eventually been forced out. Now, what kind of democracy is that when you can't have radical alternatives?
Well, it's
to
not
the status
democratic to have a PM appointed by other MPs to bring back his old pal who wasn't even a peer at the time, or an MP.
I'm very
that is
surprised.
not democratic.
I'm very surprised by Rishi Sunak. I've just looked at his Instagram before coming on this show, and the picture is him and David Cameron in a kind of warm embrace. And I thought to myself, why are you advertising this to voters? This is the opposite of what your voters want. And if you look at the polling, Chris, today, YouGov, it shows most 2019 Conservatives think David Cameron's appointment is the wrong decision.
But he's a grown-up. There's a problem around Sunak, a young team. They don't know what they want to have someone experienced in the team with them.
Do you know what I think is going on? I think you have a lot of people around Rishi Sunak who have spent way too much time in SW1 and Westminster and don't understand who's voting for their party.
Well, Matthew Goodwin, Professor of Politics at Kent University, thank you for joining us and coming in to GB News tonight.